Surprise, you stinking rotters, and happy bloody Christmas. So, I've got COVID, and my Christmas plans have been thwarted, and I know a lot of other people's plans have been scrapped due to illness or government rules, and many, like me, have to be self-isolating over the festive period, so I thought I'd hand you a little Christmas present to hopefully put a smile on your face. And so I'm dropping this bonus episode from our Patreon in which Mike Muncer and Louise Blain join me to discuss Silent Night, Deadly Night 5, The Toy Maker. If you enjoy it and you want even more, just head to our Patreon page to sign up for regular bonus shit. So, to one and all, sending you much love, and I hope you have a happy Yuletide. Mike and Louise, welcome back, but this is the first time together on Brain Rot. Hello.
Oh, what a treat. Hi, everyone.
This is a joy. It's a festive joy. I should have my light-up Christmas jumper on.
Yes, well, I think Mike's brought the Christmas for us with that terrifying background he's got on his Zoom.
His little face. Oh, my God. I love him.
Yes.
I love him. Yes, I've got the Pinot robot thing behind me.
And
as
Louise
my
has
Zoom
got the
backdrop.
Pinot Grigio.
I need it. Unfortunately, just Coke Zero.
It's never too early in December. It's never too early.
No, 100%. So I actually catch you both at the time of recording on quite a special day, don't I? Because today, Wednesday the 15th, the first episode of your new podcast comes out. Tell us about this exciting venture.
Mike.
Oh my God, it's so exciting, isn't it? So we have made Louise and I and Anna Bogutskaya, who I know you know and has been on your podcast, we've made a new limited series podcast about the Scream franchise. It's called Hello Sydney, and it is basically like a little limited series kind of celebrating the release of the new Scream movie coming in about a month's time. So it's 5 episodes, and me and Louise and Anna are going to go through each of the 4 Scream movies, and then obviously finishing on the new one mid-January. Yeah. So very exciting. So yeah, on the day we recorded this, episode 1 about Scream 1 just dropped, so you can find that wherever you get your podcast. And we had such a laugh, Louise, didn't we, creating this podcast together?
I think it's basically just you, me, and Anna, like just making that little love heart sign repeatedly at the series for hours at a time. And I also think, even if you don't like Scream, do listen to at least the very beginning of the first episode, in which Mike's Scream voice.
Yes.
And I'd like to say that even before there's any kind of alteration, there's not actually that much distortion on Mike's screen voice. He actually sounds like that. I mean, it's amazing. It's genuinely, I was watching him recording it going, how is this coming out of Mike's mouth? This is amazing. So
wow.
Listen to that and then marvel at the fact that it's not much of a change.
Yeah.
Well, give us a little treat now, Mike. Ask me what my favourite scary movie is.
Well, when I was doing it, I kept sounding like that guy. What's that 90s actor? Harvey Feldstein or somebody? I kept sounding like him.
Fierstein.
Because I kept going, what's your favourite scary movie? Like this. And I was like, this is getting increasingly camp. But and there were quite a lot of outtakes. But yeah, it was so much fun. Give it a listen. Like Louise said, even if you're not a Scream fan.
Yeah, exactly. And even just the 2-minute intro episode just shot you guys to number 1 in the Apple TV and film charts, which is so incredible. I'm so excited for you.
That was mental. I don't know how that happened, really, but that was what a joy. Yeah, how lovely. I guess
it's because it's Scream.
It's because it's Scream, and we should say also the podcast has got beautiful artwork by Mike Lee Graham as well, which is so eye-catching, and we love that. Me and Louise were saying we want it framed, don't we? But yeah, it is. But I think Scream as a property, clearly, it's still a horror franchise that has just so much love, doesn't it? I think people love it so much.
And also I think at our age now as well, because it's a really generational thing, isn't it, Scream? And the fact that it is coming back, it's just and because you've had, I think in the interim as well, you've had the 2 Scream TV series, which has maybe made the next generation go back and look at the originals, which obviously still hold up and which you'll be talking about. And so I just think it's just perfect timing, and it's just what we need, especially with this slight slasher boom that's coming back, you know?
Slasher resurgence and a kind of 90s nostalgia as well resurgence, right? It's all kind of come together perfectly. Yeah.
It's formative for so much of us. I think it's formative. I think that was the thing. We all saw it at a very susceptible age, where either you became like us or you went the other way and said, I never want to watch another scary movie again, which is also viable. I mean, that's an option. I understand that. But anyone listening to this is like, yeah, I watched it, and that's my origin story for all of horror, really.
Definitely.
Yeah, speaking about a 90s resurgence, so...
That's a terrible segue.
Speaking of 90s classics.
Yeah. In 1991, the 90s was kicked off pretty well with a little film called Silent Night, Deadly Night 5, The Toy Maker. I mean, it's kind of the precursor to Scream, I think. I think it very much inspired that wave, and it kind of saved the 90s in a pretty dead era. So I know, Mike, I know you've definitely seen part 1 and part 2. Have you seen any of the other films?
I have not, and I must now. But I remember you because you and Becky talked about Silent Night, Deadly Night 1 together on my podcast, didn't we? And we briefly talked about 2. And I think at the time you mentioned, Stevie, that the sequels beyond 2 go completely mental, like ridiculous, don't really have anything to do with 1 and 2, are in no way grounded to the kind of quote-unquote reality, I suppose, of the slasher format of 1 and 2. But I've never seen 3 and 4, so I skipped straight to part 5. What a treat that was.
That's what you will have to go back and check out 4. I'm sure in the future we'll cover that one, maybe next Christmas, because you will love that. It's directed by Brian Usner, number 4, who wrote number 5, but also number 4, it's got a lot of body horror. There's people vomiting giant cockroaches, there's bodies twisting around each other, and it's about a witches cult, a coven. So it's you would really like that. It's a very supernatural one, that one.
Ooh,
what about you, Louise? What's your history with this franchise?
I have only ever seen the first one. That was almost quite enough, seeing the first one. I knew there was a second. I actually didn't know it went beyond. I somehow outside of my knowledge. So this was suddenly a journey back into a franchise that I didn't know I needed to return to. And the truth is, I didn't need to return to this franchise, Stevie. But now I want to watch number 4. What have you done to me? Honestly, every time you ask me to watch a film for Patreon, I watch it and think, why has Stevie done this to me? Like, this is just, this is cruel, but I love it. I love it.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. I think number 4 is probably a better film, but that's why I chose this one. I mean, it makes sense. Of course. I've actually it's out of print, but it's a DVD that Lionsgate put out, which has part 3, 4, and 5 on it, and I actually had to get it for quite a lot of money on eBay. But it's because they haven't been released any other way, especially number 4 and number 5. Maybe for good reason.
I wonder why, Stevie. I wonder why these are now out of print. It could potentially be a lack of demand. Just
No, come on.
Not after this episode. Come on. We'll
Exactly.
be bringing it back.
So, Mike, can we have a little synopsis for the people at home, please?
Of course. So,
Thank you.
Silent Night, Deadly Night 5. On a cold December night, a little boy called Derek finds a Christmas present on his doorstep. Inside is a fun musical orb, which seems innocent enough until it sprouts arms and attacks his father, causing him to impale himself on a fireplace poker. Cut to 2 weeks later, and the now mute Derek and his mother find themselves being targeted by several strange, sinister locals. An elderly toy owner called Joe Petto, his son, Pino, and a weirdo dressed as Santa called Noah. As each of these characters' hidden secrets are revealed throughout the story, Derek winds up in the midst of a chaotic night of Christmas carnage, complete with weirdos, psychopaths, and sleazy robots.
Wow, very good. Yeah, the journey of that synopsis is much like the journey of the film, where you go, whoa, what's this? What are all these names? And then this third act where you're like, what the fuck is happening? I think I want to jump straight in and talk about, I don't like the Pinocchio angle. I'm just going to say it. Geppetto. I don't like that in the American accent, they say pedo, which just sounds like pedo to me, and I'm not okay about it. And then also having Pinot pedo, it's not all right.
I just want to say now that the other night I received not just a text from Mike, but an audio message because he also thought it was Joe Pedo.
I'm so glad you said this, Stevie, because I feel a bit better now. Because I've got to say, the Joe Petto pun, went completely over my head. And I was like, what a terrible name for a character, pedo, basically pedo. And I thought they had named him basically Joe Pedo because paedophile. And it wasn't until
No, I get it. I get what it's short for. Yes.
By the way, just to really run that joke into the ground, and then sent this voice note to Louise, being like, "This is weird that his name's Pedo," and then Louise was like, "You do know it's Geppetto, right? It's Geppetto." I was like,
Pinocchio.
Yes.
Well, they don't do themselves any favours. I really don't. But the fact that all three of us were like, Pedo, I don't know if that's... For a toy maker as well, it's just really on the nose. Speaking of
oh, no.
Pinocchio on the nose.
Perfect.
Oh my goodness. That first orb that you talk about, it's very odd, this toy, because it actually doesn't... It commits manslaughter more than murder, because it just kind of blocks the dad's vision, and then he bangs his head and then he falls over.
Does it though? Or does it not do something with his mouth? I feel like it does something with his mouth. I mean, obviously it commits manslaughter in the fact that he then falls onto something, which also made me question whether it was made for 3D, because that poker was very pokey in terms of...
Yes.
But I feel like it does a sort of face hugger, like, insertion thing. I mean, obviously you don't see anything, but like, that was my idea of that horror. And I just like to say...
is crying in pain.
That I do think that the Nightmare Before Christmas's version of Evil Toys is still... I think potentially scarier than this opening sequence.
Yes, yeah. The fact that this is kind of the cold open, it's not that much of a shocker, is it?
The toys in general are not great, are they? Like, it does look like there's like a moment later on when somebody getting killed in a car, and it sort of looks like somebody's just off screen, just holding a plastic toy and just sort of
they
moving
are.
it.
They literally are. That's literally what's happening, and also that's when it's the big long flat poo.
Yes.
But it's a larvae.
With the mouth. Again, straight in the mouth, then out the eyes.
Come on, no, that's so good.
Although
that's...
I was reading the goofs, not the goofs. Was it the goofs? Yes, or the inconsistencies on IMDb, and it said the larva enters his mouth and then exits his eye, proving that this is not a real skull. It was like, I don't think that's proof. I don't think that's proof.
Well, that solves that.
Like, I think that's the point.
And two, why was that in question?
Yes.
Why?
I mean, that was the point, right? It ate his eyeballs and came out the eye. Like,
I love it. I love
fantastic. It. This is Screaming Mad George who did all the effects on this, who did Society. So he created that massive shunting scene. He's an absolute weirdo. And also, is it the Dream Master #4, where Freddy rips open his clothes and you see his chest full of all the faces?
I mean,
so it's very him, that.
I've got to say, he's amazing. And amazing. Elm Street, Society, he does incredible work. I think he's phoning it in a bit in this movie, Stevie, to be honest. I'm not sure these effects are quite up to scratch compared to Society.
They're not great. They get worse as well.
What do you mean they get worse? At the end, when he rips off his face. I love the hollowed out robot moment.
That bit felt like it had a different budget from the rest of the film. I'll be honest.
That was the budget, yeah.
Yeah, it was right there. I mean, it was very Men in Black almost. It had the same kind of level of, I'm going to take my face off and I'll be a tiny robot. But the rest, all the toy stuff, I mean, the terrible flying explosive Superman.
I was going to bring this up, Louise, because you and I have talked several times about things that inexplicably explode. And it happens twice in this. One, a Superman hits a trash can and there's an enormous explosion. And there's another moment where a car just flips and the explosion is ginormous.
Incredible.
And also, there's one bit where like the cast of Robot Wars rocks up and
via
jumps on the guy's
H.R.
chest.
Geiger. Robot Wars via Geiger.
To be fair to the story, I did not know where this was going. I mean, each twist and turn got me. I was like, oh, that's what's happening now, is it? Okay, yeah. It's not predictable.
I think we should talk about Joe Pedo, Mickey Rooney. So I'm sure you both probably know, but what's great about this is he was very vocal during the release of the first film about how inappropriate it was, and it was just ruining cinema forever. And then for him to turn around, 10 years later and go, okay, yeah, I'll take that number 5 job.
What I mean, it's really strange this. Yeah, because we talked about this, didn't we, Stevie, on my podcast, that the original Silent Night, Deadly Night was really controversial at the time, wasn't it? Like people picketing and trying to get it pulled. And why did Mickey Rooney suddenly... Did he just desperately need the money and the work, or was this like some sort of reconciliation? Like, I've forgiven you, Silent Night, Deadly Night. What's going on here? Why is he doing this?
To me, I haven't read this, but I just assume it's work. A lot of that golden era of Hollywood, they started doing crappy little horror films in the 90s when it was like, you know, the money they got then compared to what it is now just didn't last, and a lot of them did.
And this was straight to VHS, right? This didn't end up in...
this was straight to VHS.
Somehow makes it worse. I don't know that he was just... I mean, at least the original and maybe the second went cinemas, but this fifth, straight to VHS... I mean, proper bargain basement stuff for the time for him to agree on it is bizarre.
Yeah, like he can't have even been paid that much, surely, if he was doing it for the money. It's like, it's quite a sad story if that's the case.
Well, that's even worse. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, it's really weird. I'd love to know what went on behind this decision of Mickey Rooney. Like you say, after he was so vocal about the first one. Very odd.
We've got some very interesting characters in this, and I'm talking specifically about, Derek, who the little boy whose face is just perpetually melancholic and sullen. It's built that way. His resting face is.
Yeah,
he's got like little puppy. He's got little puppy jowls that just are constantly sad. He's got the French bulldog of mouths, which is fine, but he is perpetually a sadness.
Yes. And then Noah, who is, for the first half of the film, he's this mystery man. We don't know who he is. Is he also a paedophile? Because he's very strange. When
wants to be Santa. Won't let the kid go.
Yes, wants to be Santa. Yes, and then I mean, I'm not a parent, and I shouldn't really be commenting on other people's parenting skills. But then Sarah, the mum, afterwards goes, he's going, give me the boy, you stay on my lap. And then afterwards, she kind of just goes, oh, I guess even Santa has a bad day. It's like, no, you need to report this. You should come forward about this. This is scarring behaviour.
Straight to Trustpilot.
Very.
But one thing I found with her. I mean, fair play to her that she managed to keep it together for Derek, but she never actually mourns her ex who died via Santa ball.
Poker.
No one ever really mentions him. And it's only a year later, but she's just she just constantly moves on and then immediately kisses people that a second later she was running away from.
Yeah,
that's
fine.
true. Well, also that backstory. So the story we find out is that because there's the great moment where she's in a huge car park and her car is the only car in the entire multi-story, even though she's at work. So bizarre. And so yes, he chases her. She runs, and then they make out, and we find out that they broke up 6 years ago. He got her pregnant with Derek. But then somehow she broke up and in a very hasty amount of time found Tom and convinced him that he's the father. So it must have been on their first date. If she was already pregnant, she must be like, I'm pregnant.
Yeah.
But I only kissed you. I'm pregnant.
Yeah. Move in with me. It's happening.
Yes.
Yeah. It's weird, isn't it? That moment in the car park is like we're suddenly in some sort of Days of Our Lives soap opera or something at that point. Like when they suddenly kiss, and it's like, what's happening now? What film are we in now? It's
But that was also the part of the movie. Where they'd clearly, as you and I have previously discussed, Stevie, decided that there had not been enough sex. So not only was there one couple, there was two. So it's suddenly a sex montage, but with murder robots and a hand.
Best scene of the film. Loved it. Hilarious.
I mean, two of the most uncomfortable sex scenes I think
I was squirming.
It's horrendous. I mean, we should just talk about the creeping hand that's playing with his butthole, and he really likes it. Oh, I wanted this when I was a kid. So, sorry, hang on, wait. Wait.
Stevie, we're not here to kink shame, but
that was the worst segue and the best all at once. I mean, the other one we can ignore entirely. In the edit, you'll try and fix this, but you can't, Stevie.
My brain always does that. I quickly get this entire memory at once, and then something
Not
comes
that
out
memory.
my mouth
Not
without
that
any
memory.
context. No, I didn't want the hand on my butthole. What I wanted when I was a kid, because I used to test my mum.
This is
I used
getting
to
worse.
test if
This
Santa
is
was
getting
real.
worse.
Fuck's sake. So, forget everything we've just talked about. Here's just a random story about Christmas time.
okay.
So, when I was a kid, I used to trick and test my parents to see if Santa was real. So, I would ask for ridiculous things. And if he's magic, he can make it happen. And so, every year they'd get a little bit more extreme. And one year I was obsessed with Addams Family, the film at the time, the Tim Burton. And I asked for Thing. I said, but the only thing I want, is Thing. From the Addams Family, I want a remote control hand. And I got a letter back from Santa that year saying, I'm very, very sorry, due to time restraints and a delay in toy making.
We're all out of things.
We're all out of things. We weren't able to make it. And then about 3 years later, I got one. It was literally like this hand, this sort of dismembered hand that just crawls along with the fingers. But by that time, I wasn't into Addams Family. And so it was a shame. But this is utilised in a very interesting way in this film.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the kind of little bumhole play here during this sex montage. Yes. It's very strange and it's very long. It goes on for a very long time, especially the build-up as we're sort of watching the hand kind of creep towards the arse.
We're hand POV.
Yeah, hand POV. With that man in his little tighty whities. It's a very surreal scene. Like you say, one of the most uncomfortable sex scenes I've seen in a while. I won't be forgetting that one.
And obviously you get the rubber snare. Well, because, of course, we've seen the Joe Pedo, what to say, dumping all these toys in there. And so it's a little red herring, isn't it, I suppose? But to be honest, there's a backstory moment that completely went over my head when he's talking about how he used to live in that house and that's why Pino always wants to be in there.
I have so many questions.
But also then Noah says a story about he was responsible for a child dying or something.
Yes.
I thought that was all lies. I thought he just made that up that he lived there to make it an excuse for the fact that his son Pino had been in there. I don't think any of that was true. I think it was just because he wanted her as his mother. I think that he was just sort of saying, he just needs to be there. And I just thought it was all lies.
But at what point does Pino become Joe? That's where I didn't understand.
Like when
so how long has he... Because obviously when he dumps the toys in, that's actually Pino.
Yes. Have we been watching... Has what's his
Joe
face?
been dead the whole time?
Been dead the whole time? Yeah.
Right, exactly.
But he can't have been because we saw them fight
together.
And then he fell down fell down the stairs.
Oh yes.
We had the stair incident. We had
interesting.
them fighting. So at some point after that sequence was when the switcheroo took place, I imagine.
Interesting.
Yes.
Because he's already tried to kill off with the rollerblades, very 1991. He's already tried to kill off Derek, hasn't he? Because we get that kid who gets into. We say he gets into an accident, and then his entire body and head is bandaged, like he fell off a roof. I mean, it's for the incident that we witnessed. That seems excessive. He kind of rolls over the bonnet.
Yeah, and now he's like mummified in hospital. Yeah, it's amazing.
I do feel like tonally, it was almost like, I don't know, was warming up for sort of, or like to Gremlins style, because the music was really it was very of its time. It was very, very 90s. Like, weirdly, that kind of violence, again, was quite cartoony, quite silly, before it then became absolutely absurd violence a bit later on. Like, so it was trying to do kind of fun things. And they didn't even kill off the kid, really. So they still tried to behave. Because I was like, he'll die. No, he didn't die. He's just comedically bandaged. So it's attempting to give you this, lol, it's quite funny, before, no, actually, everyone's covered in blood and dying of canon toys.
Well, that whole sequence, bizarre as it is, it suddenly ratchets it up a lot. There's a lot of blood. She gets shot in the chest by the tank, and her chest is open.
Yeah.
And then all the soldiers, and then does a giant eye with teeth eat her downstairs bits?
I think
No.
so. Does it not?
thought
it looks
it was-
like that.
I thought it was going to. I was like, this is, I can't believe this is happening. It cut to her reacting. I was like, I can't believe this has happened. But then it cut down to her legs again, and it was in her thigh.
Right. Oh, okay.
And I was
See,
like,
I
oh,
think
you just ruined that. I was like, well, that would have been great. But no, I think it was in
Yeah.
her thigh, and she was pulling it off her thigh. So she hadn't
Okay.
had, sadly, she had not had her genitalia munched by a giant snake monster.
Right, okay.
It-
What a shame.
It definitely builds that up, though, doesn't it? To think that's what's happening.
Yeah.
You're like, oh my god, this film, like you say, it's suddenly cranked it up a notch, hasn't it? All of a sudden, at this moment, you're like, Jesus Christ.
We talked a little bit just then about the fact that obviously Joe is killed and Pino dresses up as him. So this is the final act, which is just one of the most wonderfully bizarre, because they find the toy lab, I guess, in the basement, and Noah, I think, gets sprayed in the eyes with a water pistol. I'm assuming acid or something like that. What did you think about this final act, Louise?
Oh boy. I'm a real boy. I did not expect it to get as rapey and thrusty as it did. It got
Very
really
thrusty.
thrusty. It got really thrusty and disturbing, because it was already disturbing enough, the fact that it's got this very strange, and I'm looking at it in the background behind Mike, of this kind of strange, smooth, clearly fake body that he's wearing over his own clothes, which looks dreadful. But it's this reveal of, I want you to be my mother and I'll be a good boy, with rape. Bonus rape, despite not just being smooth down there like all action men are. You know, it was just, it wasn't what I expect. Because the thing is, I think intrinsically, I think we can all say that toys are meant to be sweet and innocent and nice, and if they kill you, it's scary. And Stephen King wrote a really good short story about someone being attacked by tiny soldiers, and it was really, really good. And it can work. People can be really scared of toys. But this third act obliterated any chance that you might have had of fear of toys, because it just makes it this weird sexual mummy's boy issues. I mean, I can't.
I know. He kind of like picks off his pants and then holds them, dangles them, and drops them. And then he does like thrust up against her with her legs open, going, "You're my mummy, you're my mummy."
Oh.
It's really bizarre, isn't it? And like, yeah, the film has taken a bit of a turn at this point. And yeah, it reminded, like, you know, you kind of I expected this to be one of those demonic toy type movies, or like, Stevie, we recently discussed Dolls together, right, on your podcast, Stuart Gordon, Brian Usner's Dolls, and there are moments of it that really feel like that, like where, you know, little soldiers are shooting with cannons or whatever, but then it goes into places where you go, what the fuck now? It's just got, this film's got such a sleaziness, doesn't it? And maybe that's part of the Silent Night, Deadly Night universe. The original was pretty sleazy as well, wasn't it, in a way? So I guess that's part of it. But yeah, I didn't know what I was watching. I really didn't.
It's just uncomfortable.
Yeah.
In a wonderful way. I actually find, as you were saying, Louise, the look of him, the real face, and then the sort of soft foam. Yeah, it's kind of rough. I don't know when Derek managed to get into a hanging sack. Did I miss something?
Yeah, I didn't really understand.
Multiple hanging sack. Well, he put Derek into the hanging sack, didn't he? Because Pino abducted him. But then I don't really know why he would put up a series of identical sacks so that we wouldn't know,
and not know which one
he was in. Because you would think you would at least like put a gift tag on it and say Derek.
But they do defeat him. They smash him up, Sarah and Noah. So they smash him up good. I love that then Derek says, "Don't be afraid. It's only a toy, Mummy." And he says it in a way that sounds like it was something she said earlier, like it's calling back to something and it's nicely rounding off the story.
Yeah.
But it wasn't said earlier.
Maybe it was
not
in
a
one
tagline.
version. Maybe it was at some point.
Yeah. Sounds like a callback. 100%.
It really does. It really does. I thought that too. I was like, oh, I must have missed somebody say that to him at some point in the film. But maybe not.
It's
maybe
just
not.
a toy. No, that's it.
What a classic.
Any final thoughts? I do really think we should reconvene at some point and do Silent Night, Deadly Night 4. And just obviously doing them backwards is just a wonderfully perverse way. It's very brain rot to do that.
Perfect.
And I think it's the Silent Night, Deadly Night 4 has one of the best taglines in cinema history. It's, "If I die before I wake, thank you."
Okay,
Oh my
that's
God.
amazing.
All right. I'm in. Let's definitely
But
do
yeah,
that.
any final thoughts on this one?
I'm looking
I
through my
honestly-
notes. I did take notes.
I honestly am a bit speechless with this film. Like, I don't really know what I witnessed, to be honest.
Yes. One of the strangest things as well, just in the world of this franchise and canonically. So you've got Clint Howard in this. He has a little cameo as one of the other Santas. And he's an amazing horror icon from like Ice Cream Man and Evil Speak. And his character in this is Ricky. And he's one of the leads in Silent Night, Deadly Night 4. And he plays Ricky.
Oh.
And then Sarah's friend, who comes over, called Kim, I think, is one of the leads in number 4, called Kim. So they're playing the same characters, but the events of the fourth one have not happened. It is incredibly strange to do that and very confusing.
Just pick new character names. Even if and just make it like an anthology. Don't.
Yeah.
That's bizarre.
So odd, isn't it?
And is this the last one, Stevie? I take it there's not been any more Silent Night, Deadly Nights.
Yeah, no, this is the this is the last one. And it was in some places this was released simply as The Toy Maker and it wasn't canon at all.
Right.
That
That
makes
would
sense.
make sense. Yeah.
And also it makes sense that it killed the franchise.
Quite. But then, the actual franchise did go on because then there was a sort of reboot with Silent Night that had Malcolm McDowell in, which is dreadful. But I would just love so much. I think they're all made by different companies, though. A box set of all 5 would be gorgeous as a collector.
Why is that not a thing? You could make it into like a fun. You could put it in like one of those like little musical orb things, as a box.
Yes, yeah. But I'm pretty sure number 1 probably doesn't want to be associated with this. I think it's a bit far removed.
I just love the idea that Silent Night, Deadly Night 1 is like too highbrow and doesn't want to be associated with movies like this.
Yes. This is below it.
Also, I was just thinking as well, the little orb that turns its face from a happy face to a sad face, which is exactly... Is that a known toy that does that? Because it's exactly the same as the mayor in The Nightmare Before Christmas, because he wears that big top hat and he has like his happy face, and then when he gets stressed it goes bidoing, and he has pretty much exactly the same face as that Santa. And I don't know if that's Tim Burton or Henry Selick even referencing Silent Night, Deadly Night 5, The Toy Maker.
Maybe. Well, there's a moment in this where that very toy is on the television on like QVC.
Being advertised, yeah.
Which is really, I thought was really strange. And actually, we never really get to the bottom of how all of these have this murderous intent and what's been done there. Surely it's not electronic because it knows exactly what it's going going
Yeah, that's true. We don't really get the toys explained, do we? Yeah.
No, are they sentient like him? Has he put his sentient robot power into murder toys?
Yeah, I guess it is more that they're robotic and not supernatural, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and obviously he's modified that Santa one, because if it already exists as a toy that is readily available to the masses, he's just modified. He's not created new toys. We're going into levels that I don't think we need to.
Also, one more question: when Noah gives his landlord the toy that ends up going through his face,
Larry the lava.
Yes, Larry the lava. Did he know that he was giving him an evil toy?
Oh.
Because like
to fob him off.
The landlord comes and gives him a hard time, and it's like, ah! And then he's like, here, take this. And I wasn't sure if like at that point Noah's still a bit shady, and I was like, does Noah know?
But did we ever find out why Noah's stealing toys constantly? Because he said, and taking toys, because he says, Joe Petto says, you've been buying a lot of toys here recently.
Right, exactly. Well, and it's like, does he know what's happening with these toys?
I thought he wanted to buy Christmas presents for Derek, and that was how he was going to win his son back.
Oh, yes.
I don't think he knew that larva was evil, because I think he bought that for Derek. I think,
Why? Have you seen it?
well, maybe
What kid would go, what a great present?
you wanted a
big-
thing for Christmas. Like, I bet when you...
It looks like a toothy shit. It's just like the worst toy.
Which is exactly what a 9-year-old boy would want if it looks like a toothy shit.
So weird.
It's
yeah.
ridiculous. Wow. Okay. Great. Well, we've
Anyway.
cracked that one. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
And yeah, I can't wait to get cracking with Hello Sydney.
Thank you.
And
yeah,
have you are you going to be predicting things from the new one before you see it, or just see it and then talk about it?
Yes, each episode ends with a little prediction segment as well, speculations for the new Scream. So neither of us have seen the new one yet. So yeah, the series will be filled with predictions, which we'll probably get entirely wrong, and then we'll be covering the new film in the last episode, and then we'll look back, I suppose, Louise, and see how wrong we were with most of our predictions.
I think we'll probably be very, very wrong. I think we kind of are guessing at interesting things. But I just want to say that new Scream 2022 poster that says that literally says the killer is on this poster is amazing.
Incredible.
It's like
Isn't it?
it's literally there. And someone I think said, is it because it's Ghostface? Because obviously Ghostface is at the top.
In the background,
And it's
yeah.
like,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
It will
Yeah.
be one of them. I love it. I love
Yeah.
that. They just
It's
know
brilliant.
so well.
So good.
Yeah, exactly. It's perfection. Can I throw one into the ring? I've actually told Louise this one, but I have a
Please.
little theory that I came up with. So remember when Sydney and Billy have sex in the first one towards the end before the reveal? I think he got her pregnant, and then she gave the baby up for adoption during the 2 years between Scream and Scream 2, and now in the new one, her child is either the killer or is the object of the killer killer's trying to get to, because we hear something about a family secret, and that's my little prediction.
I love that.
Oh my god, I do like that. That would, I mean, it would kind of work, wouldn't it? That it's part of the sort of Loomis family and
Yeah.
Prescott family.
So it's all in the family would be.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, I like that. Well, we'll check back in January, Stevie, and see.
Yes, exactly. I can't wait. But thank you guys very much. And I'm sure everybody already knows, but tell everyone where they can find you and your shit. Not the shit like the one with teeth, but your work, Louise.
You can find me on Twitter at shiny_demon. So you can currently find me in Hello Sydney alongside Mike and Anna, and you can also hear me on Radio 3's Sound of Gaming. And actually, a little special Christmas tidbit if you're running out of things to listen to on Christmas Day. I'm live on, well, I'm not live, it's already done, on Radio 3 at 3 o'clock, you know, me versus the Queen. Alongside Matthew
Louise's
Sweet.
speech.
Yes, Louise's speech. So Matthew Sweet and I went to Abbey Road on it's now its 90th year, and we went on a bit of a journey through the sort of the history of Abbey Road and its importance to film scores, obviously, but also gaming scores as well. So that's on Christmas Day at 3 o'clock, and will also be available on BBC Sounds. And I'm going to do a further plug because I've done 3 this month. On the 1st of January, on New Year's Day, there's another Sound of Gaming where I'll be talking about the future of gaming. So you can listen to any of those, and they'll all be available on BBC Sounds, because you'll probably be hungover or drunk when they're actually live.
But also on Christmas Day, 3 p.m, that's the perfect time to like sit back and go, and just listen to something.
Exactly.
Absolutely. And listen to something
Sweet.
that's not the Queen as well. So that's
And
great. I will be tuning in.
It meant I was in the Radio Times, the Christmas Radio
The Christmas
Times,
one.
which was
Yeah.
the best thing in the world. Had a bit of a cry in Sainsbury's.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no shit. I'm not surprised. That's so cool.
It's the best thing ever, isn't it? You've got to always keep that.
Yeah, it'll be
addictive.
mine.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you, Mike.
Yes, you can find me. Well, you can find my podcast. No one cares about me. Find my podcast, The Evolution of Horror, on Twitter at Evolution Pod. It's all the places where you can find your podcasts. We've got some fun Christmassy stuff. I just recorded a really nice long chat with Mark Gatiss, and we talk about Christmas ghost stories and Christmas horror and all of this kind of thing. So that will be dropping soon. And then you can find me and Louise on Hello Sydney, the official Scream podcast, wherever you get your podcasts.
Amazing. Thank you both so much. Feliz Navidad.